All right, ready to dive into a world that's, well, more fascinating than you might think. We're talking import-export, and specifically, get this, the glassware industry in China.
Hmm.
We're going deep using RoleCatcher, that career platform. It's like a crystal ball for jobs, you know?
Hmm.
They break it all down, what you do, how much you make. Trust me, you'll never look at a drinking glass the same way again.
It's true. It really is like seeing behind the scenes of how global trade really works. I mean, we buy things made overseas, but we don't think about who makes that happen.
Right. So let's unpack this. RoleCatcher, they don't hold back. They show what an import-export manager really does. And it's not just about shipping containers. One quote that stuck with me. Installing and maintaining procedures for cross-border business, all while coordinating internal and external parties, like conducting an orchestra, but global, right?
Absolutely. And the instruments are always changing. Regulations, what different cultures expect, even something like, say, a dock worker strike over in Europe, that throws everything off. You got to adapt, be resourceful.
And Chinese customs. RoleCatcher makes it clear that's not easy. What makes it so tough?
Okay, so imagine beautiful hand-blown glass ornaments, all ready for the holidays, right? Big shipment. Everything's perfect, except customs holds it up. Why? A tiny label issue can cause a huge delay. You got to know the rules inside out, and they change constantly. Plus, having good relationships with the officials there, that helps.
High stakes game of chess. One wrong move and it costs time, money, maybe your reputation too. And glassware, it's not all fancy wine glasses, is it? RoleCatcher said something like growing demand from various industries. What's that about?
People forget, labs need those precise beakers. Hospitals have specialized equipment. It's all glass. So someone in this job, they got to know a huge range of products, how to ship them right. Lab stuff versus bulk glass jars, totally different.
It's like every object has this whole hidden journey, more complex than you'd think. But back to the skills. RoleCatcher, they've got this section, functions and core abilities. It's more than just filling out forms, I bet.
Oh, way more. The technical stuff matters, but you need those soft skills, cultural understanding, especially with China.
They say Mandarin Chinese fluency is essential. What do you think?
It goes beyond just words. Imagine you're in a tough negotiation, supplier in China, suddenly the terms change. Got to understand what they don't say, too, the little cues, the culture. That's how deals get made, how trust is built.
So you're like a cultural ambassador on top of everything else. RoleCatcher lists things like monitoring, critical thinking, active listening. Those sound kind of standard, but what do they mean in this world? Glassware import-export.
Okay, critical thinking.
Yeah.
Say a shipment, glass vials for vaccines, it's delayed. Customs inspection, surprise. A good manager, they don't panic, they analyze. Maybe there's a workaround so it doesn't cost a fortune being late. Could be calling favors, negotiating, even changing the entire route. Resourcefulness under pressure, that's key.
Sounds like you're always on edge, no time to relax. What about reading comprehension? You wouldn't think that's make or break in a fast-paced job, right?
Oh, you'd be surprised. Contracts, they're dense. Trade agreements, always changing. Customs regulations. Pages and pages. One little thing missed could cost a fortune, even legal trouble. You got to be detail-oriented, but fast, understand complicated stuff quickly, and make sure everything matches the rules here at overseas.
Not for those who skim the fine print, that's for sure. It's like meticulous details, but also thinking big, global strategy all at once.
And that's what's so tough, but also rewarding. It's not just moving stuff around, it's the whole system of trade, the culture, knowing your decisions have a global impact.
RoleCatcher, they're blunt about the high level of responsibility. It's going to be stressful, millions of dollars riding on you getting it right.
Absolutely. One wrong number, missed deadline, even miscommunication. Big consequences. But the flip side is, when you get it right, man, it's satisfying. Professionally, personally, it feels good.
Speaking of rewards, what about the career path here? RoleCatcher lays it out. You start as a coordinator, then climb to import-export director at the top.
It takes dedication, that's for sure. Never stop learning, and you gotta love this world of global trade.
So let's break it down. What's each step like, according to them?
Right, so you're starting out import-export coordinator, right? So you're starting out import-export coordinator.
Sure.
You're the one up to your eyeballs in paperwork, making sure every single thing is in order.
Not glamorous, but hey, gotta start somewhere.
That's right, learning the ropes. You're figuring out those harmonized system codes that tell you what's what, type of glassware, all that. Then making sure each shipment follows all the rules. It's a lot.
Steep learning curve, but you get to know the industry inside and out. What's next up this ladder, then?
So once you've got that down, you might become a junior import-export manager.
Okay, so more responsibility, more big picture thinking.
You got it. Now you see how it all fits together. Not just one shipment, but the whole chain, how to make it run smoother, cheaper, maybe even finding new markets for your glassware.
RoleCatcher mentioned developing and implementing import and export strategies. At that level, what does that actually look like day to day?
Let's say your company, they want to get into South America, right? Big market for glassware, growing all the time. You, as junior manager, you'd be checking their rules, import taxes, who to sell to down there, even who you're up against.
So, glassware knowledge plus understanding how business works internationally.
Yep. You prove you can handle it, move up to senior import-export manager.
Big leagues now. What's on your plate at that level?
You're basically conducting the whole import-export orchestra at that point. Lots of products, teams of those coordinators working for you. Your decisions, they affect the whole company's bottom line.
And I bet that's when the international travel and networking opportunities RoleCatcher mentioned, those really kick in. Fancy trade shows, big deals, all that.
You know it. You are the company out there in the world, China to visit factories, Europe for the latest trends, maybe even Dubai, hammering out a contract.
Sounds amazing, but also high pressure. You've conquered senior manager. What's left? Is that the peak?
Well, for those who really live and breathe global trade, who can lead a whole department, there's import-export director.
The top dog. Executive level stuff, what makes that different?
You're not just handling the everyday anymore. You're setting the whole course. Long-term growth, new markets, maybe even how to make the whole supply chain greener, more sustainable.
So you need to know import-export, yeah, but also like global economics, how different countries relate, even environmental rules.
Exactly. You got to look at tons of data, predict problems before they happen, and make the decisions that keep your company ahead of the game. And the game changes fast.
RoleCatcher's clear. This is high stakes, high reward, but they're honest about the challenges too.
Oh, tons of them. We talked about the regulations, the culture clashes, always having to learn new stuff. But glassware specifically, that brings its own headaches.
Yeah, fragile is the key word there. What are some of the unique things someone in this industry has to deal with?
Well, first off, it breaks. One shipment handled wrong, that's thousands of dollars shattered on the dock.
Insurance companies must love you guys. So packaging, handling, that's got to be a top priority.
You bet. Different materials, how to secure it, labeling so everyone knows, and picking the right shipping company, one that understands glassware needs extra care, all that matters.
And it's different for every type, right? Crate of wine glasses versus like those giant architectural panels, totally different game plan.
You got it. You adapt based on the product, where it's going, even the time of year, holidays, everyone shipping, weather's unpredictable, delicate glassware that needs extra attention.
Balancing act, gotta be fast, but also keep those things safe.
Yep, and then on top of that, you got to keep up with trends in the glassware world itself.
What? Glass is glass, isn't it?
Not so fast. New materials pop up, new designs, even how they make it changes.
So it's not just logistics. You got to be like a fashionista and know the latest tech, too.
That's right. What's hot, what's not, how's that going to affect what people want? Then you adjust where you buy from, how you get it to them.
This job, it's like 10 jobs in one. Logistics, culture, trends, and stay calm under pressure.
You said it. But if you like things fast-paced, always changing, it can be amazing, really rewarding.
Okay, we've done skills, the career path, the tough parts. But let's be real, the rewards. What makes people do this year after year with all that stress?
Well, it's more than just the money, although that can be good, like we said.
Right, more than a paycheck, you got to find it fulfilling, too.
Exactly. Knowing you've mastered this whole global puzzle, the relationships with people from all over, and you see your work directly helping the company succeed internationally. That feels good.
It's like you're connecting the world one glass at a time.
That's it. And don't forget the adventure.
Right. Not stuck in a cubicle all day?
Nope. Travel, those trade shows, even just talking business with folks from different cultures. It opens your eyes.
Like becoming a citizen of the world, seeing the big picture, how we're all connected.
And that global view, it's only getting more important. Every company, big or small, wants to be international now.
Front row seat to globalization in action, seeing how goods, ideas, even cultures move across borders.
And you're not just watching, you're part of it.
Yeah.
Your skills make that flow happen. You build understanding between different places.
A shipment of glassware. It's not just boxes, it's a whole story. How we're all linked, how cultures mix, the whole dance of global trade.
And that dance is going to get wilder, more complex, more interesting as time goes on.
So as we dig deeper into this world, remember, it's not just about glassware. It's about the people who make those global connections, the hurdles they overcome, what they get out of it. It's fascinating stuff. We've covered a lot of ground. I mean, we've gone from those really specific codes they use for different kinds of glass to like the global economy and how that affects the price of a simple glass. It's mind-blowing.
It is.
And it really shows you how connected everything is globally, even something like glassware, which you wouldn't think about much.
Yeah, it's easy to forget there are actual people behind all of that.
Yeah.
Who's making the deals, figuring out the logistics, all those people making those connections happen.
Speaking of those people, RoleCatcher talks about education and experience. It's not just about like wanting it enough, right?
Right. Right. You got to have the drive, sure, but some education behind you. That gives you an edge. And it's competitive out there.
So what do they suggest for someone wanting to get into this import-export world?
They've got a whole range of stuff. Could be a bachelor's, international business, that's classic, or more specific certifications like how to manage logistics or all the ins and outs of trade rules.
So you can kind of choose your own path depending on what interests you.
Exactly. And never underestimate experience, the hands-on stuff, internships, even a part-time gig in an import-export department. That teaches you more than a textbook.
It's like that's where you learn that even the best laid plan can go sideways. Speaking of which, you got any stories from your own work? When things got really tricky, tested your import-export skills.
Oh, yeah. One time, this was a few years back, I was in charge of this huge shipment, those hand-painted glass ornaments, super delicate, and it was right before the holidays.
High pressure. I can already tell this involves some last-minute thinking.
Oh, yeah. We'd done everything right.
Yep.
Good shipping company, paperwork was perfect. And then, out of nowhere, dock workers strike. Whole port shut down.
Nightmare. Especially with those holiday deadlines, every day counts.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
We were going to be weeks late. Customers wouldn't have their stuff. Huge losses. We had to scramble.
What'd you do?
Everything we could think of. Different port, maybe. Air freight, but that's expensive and hard to get. Even looked into, like, a fleet of trucks to drive it across the country. It was nuts. But we got those ornaments on shelves just in time.
Import-export magic. What'd you learn from that whole mess?
It proved something I already knew, but easy to forget. Being able to adapt, roll with the punches, that's the most important skill. No matter how well you plan global trade, it'll surprise you.
Be resourceful, think fast, and know when to call in the big guns, or in your case, the big trucks.
Right. Sometimes, though, you got to slow down, take a breath, look at the big picture again before you act. It's a balance, being decisive, but also careful.
Makes sense. So someone's listening to this thinking, this is it, this is the job for me. What advice would you give them, knowing what you know now?
I'd say, first off, don't just take our word for it. Read up on the industry, different jobs out there, and talk to people actually doing it.
Yeah, working.
Huge. And don't be afraid to start small. Learn the ropes. That's how you build up to the big stuff.
And most importantly, never lose that fascination with global trade, how it all works. It's been amazing, really, peeling back the layers of this industry, a glass of water, and behind it, this whole huge system of global trade. Who knew?
And it never stops changing. New problems, new chances to be creative.
So as we wrap this up, I hope everyone listening is looking around a little differently. The stuff we use every day, it's got its own hidden journey. It's pretty cool. And hey, maybe this deep dive got someone interested in a whole new career path. You never know. This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening. And until next time, keep exploring the world around you.